ClickFunnels 2.0. How are we gonna launch this thing? 2 years ago, we started building it. A year ago, we told the world about it. And right now, expectations are high. People are going crazy. Demand's insane. People wanting this and that. The most chaotic, stressful, tiring, emotional roller coaster week of my entire life. How do we do it? How do we execute it? How do we launch it? I'm gonna tell you on today's episode. Yeah, there's a lot.
You're listening to Marketing Secrets with your host, Russell Brunson.
Okay, today we're gonna talk about the Your First Funnel Challenge, which was the relaunch of ClickFunnels 2.0. If you saw any of these ads like this.
Can I let you in on a little secret? If I did invest, want to know the first thing I would do? I'd build a funnel.
You may have seen the actual funnel. So I'm gonna walk you guys behind the scenes, what it is, how it worked, why we did it this way, and some of the results of when we launched ClickFunnels 2.0. We had been working on ClickFunnels 2.0 for 2 years. And it's like, how do we bring this into the world? Now, the obvious answer is we need to use a funnel because we know that, right? But which one? A funnel is like a tool. There's so many of them, right? And we're good at all the tools. Like I'm really good at webinars. We're really good at product launch. We're really good at challenges. We're really good at book funnels. You know, like whatever it is, like we could do them all, but it's like, what's the tool that's gonna be most useful for us to launch 2.0? So that was the question. Not only like were we trying to launch a funnel to launch 2.0, it's like we're still trying to build 2.0. We're 8 years into 1.0 and you're still fixing things and tweaking things and stuff. And so 2.0 is like this massive undertaking, which is, you know, the software is 10x what ClickFunnels 1.0 is, right? Like in 2.0, it's like you scroll down, you find the funnels tab, and it's like, oh, here's funnels. And that's the one thing that it does, which is all of ClickFunnels 1.0. But 2.0 does everything else. It does websites and shopping carts and stores and blogs, and like it does all the different things, right? And so we're trying to get all these things done as quick as we can to be able to launch. If you've launched anything, and this is true with like info products, but even more so software, is like as you get closer and closer to launch date, there's things like this isn't gonna be done, this isn't gonna be done. So you have to make these decisions like we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna do this, like whatever those things might be, right? And so just knowing as we're going through this, there's these two things we're juggling. It's just like we have this product we'll be working on for the next 2 decades of our life. At some point, it needs to go live. At some point, we have to launch it. And like, when is that? And how do we get it where it's good enough that people can start coming in? And then, you know, it's also the same thing as like when you test something yourself a million different times, as soon as you get, you know, 16,932 people to sign up in a week for it, they're going to find a lot more bugs that we couldn't find on our own, right? And how do you handle that? And so there's a lot behind this. And so I want to tell you guys, just kind of lift the curtain and share everything. It all started with realizing the type of funnel we wanted to use for the launch 2.0 was a challenge funnel. We've done a couple little challenges, never one that was like really big scale before. A couple months prior to our launch, Dean Graciosi and Tony Robbins did their big challenge. And so we participated in that. We were one of the top 5 affiliates. Again, like I think every year they've ever done it for a lot of reasons. One, you know, you make good money. Number 2, you get to go hang out with Tony Robbins. But also I wanted to be able to see at a deep level behind the scenes what they did and why they did it, so I can understand it, because I knew that we were going to use a similar model to launch ClickFunnels 2.0. So the next question, like, what's the hook going to be? This was a painful one for me because it shifted a lot. Initially, we're like, what's the big premise of ClickFunnels, right? The fact that you can bootstrap a company. You don't need VC money and things like that, right? Like this year at Funnel Hacking Live, we did the Bootstrapped Entrepreneur of the Year Award, right? Like I bought bootstrap.com. I'm writing a book called Bootstrap to tell the ClickFunnels story. Like I just knew like that was the hook, like bootstrap, that's going to be the hook that we're going to use, right? And as we start talking about though, we realized that most small entrepreneurs, like new entrepreneurs coming into the world, they don't really relate to bootstrapping the way that traditional people are, right? If you think about bootstrapping, what does a small entrepreneur coming into our world think about? I was like, well, the thing they think about is Shark Tank. That's closer to what they think, like, oh, if I get a good idea, I go on Shark Tank and pitch it and get some money to fund this business. So I was like, hey, bootstrapping, but like the Shark Tank angle is the most interesting. Now, most of the sharks actually use ClickFunnels for some of their businesses. And so we have good relationships with a bunch of them, but there's one specifically who is like probably one of the biggest proponents of ClickFunnels, and that's Daymond John. It's funny, me and Daymond have spoken at different events. In fact, at 10X in Vegas, where we set the world record for the most sales ever from stage, I spoke, Daymond spoke right afterwards, but we didn't see each other. And we spoke somewhere else. We didn't, like, we crossed paths, but we never actually met. And so, but we talked on social a couple times. And so I thought, man, he'd be a really cool person to have. And one of the guys on his team told us, they said, like, when we do Shark Tank deals, if the product we're buying, if it makes sense to do with ClickFunnels, we build in ClickFunnels and launch it over there. And so I thought of this really funny hook. I was like, what if the hook was basically that, like, the shark, right? Daymond John, who's, you know, he's like the vision of like what bootstrapping looks like to small entrepreneurs. Like, I'm gonna come to a shark, he's gonna give me money, we're gonna launch this company together, right? And what if you came to Daymond like, hey, will you fund my company? You know, like, will you invest in my company? And Daymond's like, we got 2 options. Number 1, like, I can invest in your company, but I'm just going to go open a ClickFunnels account and launch it and take half your company. Or you could just open a ClickFunnels account and launch it yourself, right? And so that was kind of the premise. I messaged him. I'm like, hey, I had this idea for a hook that'd be kind of funny. Would you be interested in doing this, or just kind of out of bounds? I was nervous just to ask him anyway, but I asked him and he wrote back. He's like, actually, that's pretty cool. Hit my manager and let's figure it out. So I was like, oh my gosh, he's cool with it. Like, this is so cool. And so that began it. And so initially it was gonna be called the Bootstrap Challenge. And we're gonna talk about how to bootstrap your company, but you bootstrap it, instead of bootstrapping with the shark, you bootstrap it with the funnel. And so we started moving forward towards that. We wrote scripts towards that. We had Daymond on calls and we mapped out what it was gonna do and what the scripts are gonna be and how, and he was bought off on everything. The point where it's like scripts were locked, everything was good. And then we're supposed to go fly down and film all the videos with him. And then fast forward to my mastermind. So I'm with my category kings, which is one of the groups, my inner circle. We're at Pirates Cove. Some of you guys know Barry Baumgartner. She's the one who runs Funnel Hacking Live, runs our events. She runs events for most people, for Tony Robbins, for everybody, right? And she was kind of behind the scenes running Tony and Dean's launch. And one thing she said was interesting as we were talking on day number 1 of Pirates Cove, she was like, before Tony and Dean launched their thing, they tested like 10 different titles through ads. And she said the titles that out converted were the titles that were like an action. So if you look at Tony's, it's like own your future challenge. Like it's like an action word. Like you're gonna own your future, right? If you notice any Dean's or Tony's are always based on something like that. And they tested a bunch and that was what worked the best, was something like own your future. I was looking at ours is the bootstrap challenge, which is like more like a noun, right? It's like, oh, it's just a thing. I was like, we have to come with a different name. And I couldn't think what it was. And I sat there for 3 days, Pirates Cove, stressing out about this because I knew like if I make this change, everyone's going to kill me, especially Dan, who's sitting right there, because he's like, I wrote the scripts, we got everything locked, like I have a plan. And towards the end of that week, I was like, I think for this to work, we have to change it. And my thought was like, it's almost so simple. It's like your first funnel challenge, own your future challenge, your first funnel challenge, like it's action, it's something that they're working towards, right? Bootstrap, you're not working towards, it's just a thing, versus your first funnel, something you're working towards. I'm gonna get my first funnel done, right? And then what's cool is like, then I was like, the Mifki is the your first funnel challenge box. And so it's like, there's congruency between the landing page message and hook story offer, and then the thank you page hook story offer. And so I kind of called audible, but we did it. And we made that shift. And then we went back to Daymond and John, we're like, hey, we're still doing bootstrap, but we're kind of, bootstrap's like the secondary message, like your first funnel challenge. Like it became like, this still the same message, but kind of like, we had to like shift it a little bit to make it fit into this new kind of framework that we were doing. In the process of this whole thing, we flew the entire team out. So copywriters, funnel builders, designers, programmers, like everybody, we flew them here to Boise because we had to figure out how to coordinate. Because understand, it's not just a funnel, right? There's the challenge funnel. There's like the emails that go to it. There's the ads that go to it, right? The copy, the creative, the ads from there. There's a whole bunch of steps that go into building this or any funnel. And it was fun because we had a chance, we have a remote team. We have like around 400 plus employees and contractors around the world who work for ClickFunnels. And we have an office in Boise and an office in Atlanta, and they're both small offices. And so what's cool about this is everyone had a chance to fly from all around the world, wherever they were at, fly to be in an office in Boise. And so we could sit there and have, what Tony Robbins says, proximity is power. We had a chance to be around each other as we were talking and thinking and brainstorming, like what's the hook, what's the angle, what's the sequence need to be, what do the emails need to say, like what do we need to create so we can have these things in place. We made those decisions and then it was off to the races. We're jumping in a plane, we're flying to LA to go film with Daymond John. I mean, come on, like he's Daymond John. He's way cooler than me or you combined. Like he is like one of the coolest people of all time, right? It's like we ran like one of those big sound stage warehouses with green screens and white screens and all sorts of stuff with all these scripts and teleprompters and all this stuff. And like I get there before he got there. So like I'm seeing things, everything, and we're just waiting for him to show up. We're waiting. And all of a sudden they're like, all right, Daymond's in the building. I'm like, oh man. And so first time I ever met him in person, so went over there and it was just like, I don't know, I'm always awkward, especially like first time meeting people.
What's up, man? How's it going?
What's going on? Everything good?
Yeah, good to see you.
What's happening, guys?
Thanks for being part of our project.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. Excuse me.
Anyway, I was true to form, very awkward, but we met. He's like, so what are we doing today? I'm like, well, you've seen the scripts, right? Like we're doing that. He's like, oh yeah, whatever. And he was really cool. He was fun to work with. We got out there, got him all dressed up, went out there, and a whole bunch of the first ones were just him to camera, right? So we had lines and scripts and he's reading them and doing these things. And it was just kind of fun watching him. And but in the back of the mind, I was stressing out, sitting back. So I was like, I know that me and him have a whole bunch of ads we're filming together. And some of the ads, I don't know if we'd gotten them completely approved through him. And I was like, what if he doesn't want to say them? He's making fun of himself in these things. And we're like, is he gonna be okay with that? Is he gonna, And so he filmed all the ones he did first. And then it was like, now me and him have to go out there. And the other thing that stressed me out is like, Daymond John is like, he's Daymond John. He's like the founder of FUBU, like one of the best dressed people in the world. Like I'm like t-shirt and jeans guy who dresses once a year for Funnel Hacking Live. So I'm trying to like dress where I'm not in a suit and tie, but I'm like the cool like internet nerd version of that. So got all dressed up and then it was me and him on camera together. Anyway, it was hard, but we did it. We kept going back and forth and eventually we got all the lines in, all the scripts done. And there was like this one that like, hey, we have another script we wrote. Just want to see if you're okay with it. So it pops on the teleprompter and Daymond's reading. He's like, oh, seriously? You guys are gonna like, all right, whatever, let's do it. And we're like, oh, and like, anyway, we're so excited, but I was like so stressed, like he's gonna hate me when this is all over. And from that, we got all these amazing ads. for the registration page, for the ads, for the retargeting ads, for like all the stuff around this challenge with Daymond by himself, with me and Daymond together. And then the end of it is basically, we wanted Daymond to present at the challenge, but again, with timing and stuff, it was just difficult. So we decided to film his session of the challenge as an interview while we were there. So set up some couches, got all the lights perfect, and then I had a chance to actually interview him there at the end of that crazy day. And the whole thing was just one of those things where it's like your nerves are high, anxiety, it's stressful, you're moving a million miles a minute, you're having a lot of fun, you're meeting like someone you looked up to for your whole life, and like just all the things, all the anxiety. And by the time it was done, I was just wrecked. And as fast as it all started, it was gone, and he took off, and he was on to the next Daymond John thing. Who knows what he was doing? And that was kind of the end of it. And it was amazing. And then we had to fast forward back, and Dan and his team's editing all the videos as fast as they could, because we're like a week away from the challenge now, from the launching of it. And then we're coordinating with the speakers and like the curriculum. And honestly, like it was tough because even like what I was going to teach kept changing and shifting and changing and shifting. Even the week before the launch, like I think on Wednesday or Thursday before the training started, like I was shifting it again and like moving where the speakers were at. When all said and done, we had it mapped out where it's like, it was perfect. After finally hard coding that in, hard coding in the speakers, getting it all done, traffic was going, launches were going, we started getting a lot of leads. And so I'm going to go through just a couple of numbers real quick. From the promotion, we had 221,101 people registered for the challenge during the promotional thing, which is amazing. So we had 16,932 people who signed up for ClickFunnels 2.0 on the thank you page, which is pretty amazing. And so that's kind of step number one before the event ever happened, right? And then what happens is then everyone gets in there, day number one happens, and we do the training. The training went awesome. And then we had 2 guest speakers who spoke afterwards. And then at the end of that, we made a pitch for people who weren't VIP, because basically said, hey, if you're a VIP member, first off, you get ClickFunnels trial for 30 days for free. And number 2, you get to be on these live Zoom calls with the speakers. And so we did a pitch right after day number 1 training. And I think from there, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was like another 1,000, 2,000 people or so went and signed up for VIP and got ClickFunnels trials at the end of day number 1, because they wanted to be in the VIP training happening afterwards, which was amazing. The biggest headache we had is having almost 17,000 people join ClickFunnels 2.0 in one day, in a couple of days, and then day number 1 giving them all a homework assignment, and all 17,000 people logging into ClickFunnels and doing that homework. And we had all sorts of issues with the software crashing, the templates not working, and the themes, and like by giving to everybody, we started finding out what the mistakes were very, very quickly. And so it was tough. And in the Facebook group, it turned into this negative thing of like, I'm logged in and it's crashing. I can't get my login, and like, it was all encompassing all night long. Like I was in the Facebook group, I think for 5 or 6 hours, like responding to questions, getting things, sending it to the dev team, and like going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I went to bed that night, like just in tears, like wanting to cancel the entire event. Cancel 2.0. Russell's going to run away and just be done. And I decided on day number 2, like I needed to reframe this, because like we're losing the audience. We're losing everybody. So we got 221,000 people. And it's just chaos right now, right? And so day number 2, I started by changing people's attitudes. And I did a big reframe that went really, really well. And what's crazy is my 2 guest speakers today too were Garrett White and Annie Grace. And Annie went first, and she gave an amazing presentation, but she also kind of like reshifted people's perception, helping them understand like how big this mission is and what each person individually is called to do, and like focusing on that. And it was amazing. And then Garrett came in, as you know, Garrett just yells a lot, and he did a good job though. I got him to not drop a single F-bomb the entire time, which was amazing.
There's only one reason they bring me around here. One simple reason: fire. But today I get to do it with no language, which means I get to use all the fire with no
But he also had people like take accountability, like, yes, software's being worked on. Things are like, we're fixing bugs as fast as possible, but quit trying to figure out ways to prove this wrong. Like take ownership. Like this is your life. This is your future. Like get in there and like just do the things. And like, if it doesn't work right now, it's okay. Like just keep working on it. It's gonna, like, we're here for you, right? And by day number 2, it shifted. Like the tone in the Facebook group went positive. Like everyone was excited. Everyone's like, it shifted everything in a powerful, fast thing. And from that point forward, the rest of the event was amazing. Day number 3, training went great. Day number 4, the stack and the close, the guest speakers, everything was perfect. Day number 5, we did the logical repitch. And then there we had a chance to watch the video interview with Daymond John. And that was the first 5 days of the challenge. And after the 5-day challenge was done, we decided to do this bonus live event day, which was kind of crazy, where Jenna Kutcher was going to speak, and Grant Cardone was going to speak, and Myron Golden, and like all these like huge speakers were flying in for this last day. It was almost like having a mini FHL at the end of this thing. Like it was like the most chaotic, stressful, tiring, emotional roller coaster week of my entire life. So much chaos. And so anyway, next day starts, I kick it off. Jenna comes in, and Jenna, I mean, she's amazing. She does her stuff. It's amazing. Grant comes in the backstage, and we're outside before he gets on. We ask a couple questions, and then he's like, hey, you're gonna interview me. And so I jump on stage, we bring him in, we start interviewing him, and it was crazy. Like I've always liked Grant Cardone. I love Grant Cardone. Like, he stepped up and delivered for us in a way that was amazing. His presentation was powerful, it was funny, it was hilarious. That day was amazing. We did a repitch at the end, sold a whole bunch more people into it. It was so tiring. That night, I remember laying in bed and I was like, I cannot believe we did this. Now, obviously, the dust has settled a little bit. I looked at the stats yesterday to kind of get an update. And of the 16, 17,000 people who joined ClickFunnels 2.0 during that time, obviously there's going to be attrition and cancellations and churn, all those kind of things. But even right now, we have over 10,000 people that came in during that segment, during the challenge, who are still active ClickFunnels 2.0 members, which is amazing. It's what we did year number 1 of ClickFunnels, the entire year. We were able to do that in a week, which is a cool way to kind of kick off the ClickFunnels 2.0. And we have so many updates. Over this year, I'm gonna share updates on all the things we're doing, because I know a lot of you guys are curious, like, what are all the things you're doing to grow your SaaS company? But the big beginning part was this. It was kind of like the launch pad to get it into the world. It's been a lot of stress, a lot of headaches, a lot of work, but it's also like the fruits of now it's done. You know, we were talking about and building ClickFunnels 2.0 for 2 years. We worked on the launch for 6 months. We did the launch over a 6-7 day period of time. And now it's a month or two later, it's like, oh, it worked. Like, it's out there in the world. Like, our vision, our dream is now being used by tens of thousands of people around the world, and just continue to grow every single day. So that's some of the stories behind the Your First Funnel Challenge launch, how we got ClickFunnels 2.0 into orbit. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. You probably noticed the change format in the Marketing Secret Show. We're doing less of me talking about marketing principles and more just kind of showing, like, here's the practical application of all the stuff we're talking about happening in all the different businesses we own. I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, let us know. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments down below. And also make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications. That way, when the next video comes out, you get it in your feed as soon as it comes out. Thank you guys again so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Marketing Secret Show.